My name is Sarah Woodbury. I'm here today with my husband Dan and some very loud boys to talk today about Battle Abbey and the Norman conquest of England.
You digressed to talk about Wales for a couple weeks, but before that you were talking about how the Danes had just conquered England, but then the Saxons actually beat them back and took control over England again.
That really didn't last all that long. Over the next 100 years, there was quite a bit of back and forth between Saxons and these various Viking groups for control of England. Quite a lot of intermarriage as well. Which meant that when Edward the Confessor, the last king of England, died without an heir, there were three claimants to the throne. The first was Harald Godwinson, his brother-in-law, who was Saxon and proclaimed king by the Saxon noblemen in England. The second was Harald Hardrada, king of Norway, who in September of 1066 invaded the northeast coast of England. King Harald Godwinson had been king for about 9 months by then, and he got an army together and marched north and defeated Harald Hardrada at the Battle of Stamford Bridge.
Okay.
Within a few days of that battle, however, he got word that William of Normandy, who was Edward the Confessor's first cousin once removed, and claimed that Edward had designated him his heir, even though potentially not substantiated. Anyway, he'd landed on the southeast coast of England at Pevensey. Harald Godwinson then force-marched his army south again and met William at Hastings. Harald Godwinson lost that battle and his life, and thus begins the Norman conquest of England.
So William conquers Harold, and basically you have a change of leadership. Is it like kind of a change of management where everything else stays the same for the people who are on the ground?
Sometimes it looks like that can happen when people come in and conquer the country, but really this was the end of the Saxon world as the Saxons knew it. The coming of the Normans really changed everything. They almost entirely wiped out the Saxon nobility. They brought feudalism, which completely changed the system of laws and the way of life for the people on the ground. In feudalism, the king owns all the land in the country, and then he parcels it out to all his followers. William parceled out the land to all his Norman followers, resulting in a situation that by 1075, there were no Saxon earls in the country anymore. Those Normans then built castles all over the country to control it. William also brought Norman French. So all government and law was conducted now in French. So if you were a Saxon and didn't speak French, you could not participate in the running of your own country. While William also brought the elimination of slavery, sort of technically, what feudalism did was convert formerly free peasants into unfree serfs, who were then tied to the land because, again, feudalism. Finally, the Norman conquest brought the Norman church. Now, Saxons had been Christian for a couple of hundred years, but their Christianity was culturally Saxon. It was different. With the arrival of the Normans, there was this connection to Rome and the Pope that was different. And again, William appointed a whole layer of Normans over the top of the Christian activity in the country, so that by 1096, all of the bishops and most of the abbots at the monasteries and abbeys and so on were Norman. That said, the Pope still wasn't completely happy with William with this conquest. And in 1070, he ordered him to atone for the number of people he killed in the takeover of England. As a result, William built Battle Abbey at Hastings on the battlefield. And in fact, the altar in the cathedral is supposed to be at the spot where Harold lost his life.
So his atonement was to build a shrine to his conquest.
That is pretty much what he did. Yeah, that's pretty much who William was. So next week we'll talk sort of more about this conquest, particularly Dover Castle, which has been called the key to England. If you like this video, click on the playlist or subscribe to my channel. There'll be a new video next week. And if you want to check out my books, click on the link to my webpage.